Welcome back. Today we have something special. We're going to go ahead and review a couple parts of the recent interview that Treasure Hunt with Us had, Jam and Emma, with JCB. And there was a very important thing discussed. It was really about the clues and where they're located. Are they in the lion's share? Is the lion's share mixed in with the little boxes? The little boxes maybe in some of the lion's share? Jam was really trying to drive the point home and get an answer on that. Maybe you guys saw that. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll go and put the link in the description down below and you guys can watch the full video. This is just a couple clips with permission from Treasure Hunt with Us. I want to go ahead and go over those, add my commentary, and then at the end, I'm going to go into detail about why Joy's Serenade is connected to the word search.
Yes. All right. So the whole book, there's a clue for the lion's share. It could be anywhere, part 1, part 2. Is that correct?
Yeah, anywhere in the book. I mean, I would say that, yes. I mean, the 4 chapters that I wrote for the 4 similar sized treasures are primarily just for those. I mean, at the end of the day, when everything's found, you could probably extrapolate. There's some information in those that would help you with the lion's share, but that is not really that important.
If you're looking for lion's share clues, he's basically saying they're not going to be in the 4 small chapters, is what I got from this. So you guys let me know if you got something different. And that basically you might be able to find some information in there after all the boxes are found. You might be able to look back and go, oh, you know what? There's some things here that pointed to where the lion's share box could have been. But he says that is not really that important. So he's basically saying, don't look for clues for the lion's share in the 4 small boxes.
I really wanted to leave the lion's share to be like anywhere in the book, but those 4 chapters are pretty self-contained.
So there's no clues for the part 2 smaller chapters in the lion's share. Is that right?
For the lion's share treasure, you mean the largest treasure?
No.
No,
So
no,
for the
no.
smaller, for example, the Pokemon box. Yeah. Or the.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's a question a lot of people had. No.
Yeah, it's a lot. We get so many of that.
I think they're pretty self-contained. Like everything you need to know to find those 4 boxes are in those chapters.
Right.
Awesome.
Well,
Okay, in case you didn't understand that, basically Jam flipped it and he said, will I find clues outside of those 4 chapters to help me solve for the small boxes? Will it be something in the lion's share? One example might be that I found George Washington jelly glass in the word search for the past and future box. Obviously, I would have needed to know about George Washington, I suppose, to be able to make that connection. And that is outside of the past and future box. And he's clearly stating here, you don't need that book, that part of the book to solve for the smaller boxes.
So Joy's Serenade, that's obviously a clue. Obviously you put it in the e-books. You made sure everybody had a cover case. It's a clue for the lion's share. Is that a clue for?
You're talking about the long poem at the end of the book.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's a pretty important poem. I mean, like,
for the smaller boxes too, or just the big box?
Again, like the smaller boxes are kind of self-contained in their chapters.
Self-contained. Good. Yeah. That's a lot of people have these questions. A lot of people are coming up.
I absolutely loved this part because although Jon had already came out and said, look, the small boxes don't have clues in the big book. And the big book doesn't really have clues in the small boxes. They're all self-contained. He's driving it home one last time. And he's like, you know what? I just want to get you on record that you're absolutely sure that Joy's Serenade specifically has nothing to do with the smaller boxes, or the smaller boxes have nothing to do with Joy's Serenade. And Jon, digging his heels in the ground, says absolutely not. They are self-contained. That one doesn't have to do with the other. Let's get started. All right, so we have Joy's Serenade on the right-hand side. This is the first stanza. And we've got our word search located in the past and future box on the left-hand side. And let's go and walk through. A note, the molten tone of a tune rests inside all of us who want a song to follow, a treasure to hold. We may find music in a poem. First thing we're going to do is we're going to find note. And we also want to find tone. And how about a poem? Boom. All kind of collected over there on the left-hand side. But what we really want to do is we want to find music in a poem. And thanks to M, who spotted this, she said, "Did you notice elevator here in the word search?" And I said, "Oh," crack my knuckles. And I'm like, "I've got this." And basically, in the same sort of methodology that I've demonstrated in round 1 complete book and everything I've done up to date, it's the same thing. Basically, he's telling you that there's going to be a clue off to the left-hand side in that lower corner. So I go, hey, there's going to be a clue or a riddle with those letters off to the left. So we find men and we find passion. Elevator, men, passion. Well, that's none other than the 1989 hit by Aerosmith, "Love in an Elevator." Just wanted you to soak that in for a moment. All right. And that takes care of our molten tune. I mean, what's better than a molten tune than a hot, sultry song like "Love in an Elevator"? How about a treasure to hold? So if we take a look over here, we found a graphic in our word search. Is this a finger pointing? No, it's not. It is a treasure to hold. This is a hand holding something. What is it holding? Well, it's holding our baton. So let's move on to stanza number 2. This is actually our conductor. So our conductor, as with a trace of a baton through the air, gives direction. Basically, this is pointing up. So we're going to look up. Now, what are we looking for? Well, we had a riddle down here. We found the song "Love in an Elevator" by Aerosmith. So let's locate that. Boom. We found Aerosmith. Then you don't have to jump all over the board. We got Aero connected here, just sort of, anagrammed out. We got Smith right below it, and it's stacked in a very unique way. Also, one of the many lessons we learned that it's kind of pointing off the side here. So we're like, okay, well, what is that? Well, if we see tucked in here nicely is hint. So what is it hinting to? So we've got "Love in an Elevator," living it up while I'm going down. So we just went up. Let's go down. What are we looking for? We're looking for love. Love in an elevator. And we find love, and it is not, boggle type format. It is just a scramble, or excuse me, an anagram here. And once we find that, we want to go and continue down the stanza. We want to go and go down to "While the coda is incomplete." Coda is basically, you can look this up. I'm sorry I don't have the definition for you, but it means complete. So if something's not complete, maybe it's continued, okay? So love led us to continued. So it got us down here. And now that we're down here, we see this continued is in a nice little L shape. This is going to be important, okay? And it says, "While the coda is incomplete, there's a flutter of excitement around." So we're going to go and look around. Let's go and start with the downside of this L. And we're going to go ahead and remember that, hey, that's where our tri-Caesar is, okay? And we're going to keep kind of looking around, and we're going to do tri-Caesar 12. And since the 12 is backwards, we're actually going to focus on -12 shift. So as we proceed, we're going to do some Caesar shifting. I'm not going to do the whole board. We're just going to do particular areas. So I want you to kind of focus on that. There's one little area I want to point out right now that does kind of pop out. If you just grab this little area. Now, this does not follow any rules I've ever established, but you've got the letters TTI, and you could come up with TTI, there's treasure inside, I hid it. You'd have to use the I and the T multiple times. There could be something there. Just wanted to point that out. Now, let's say, for instance, you've already come down here to the bottom of the L, and let's go to the left, and let's just take a look and see what could this section be. And if you go ahead and you shift all these letters -12, you can do that. It'll come out with, "This was joy." This pops up a couple times in the cryptogram, very clearly spelled out, almost like hinting to look for this terminology. So "this was joy," nicely symmetrical here, laid out. I do like that. And we could stop there, which I was like, yeah, we'll stop there. I think that's enough for everybody. But you know what? I'm going to go and give you a little bit more. And there might be some things that I didn't cover completely. but I'm giving you a lot of information. So let's just keep going and see what else we find. So now, see how far to go. Use Will's straight edge as the turning square or any arc. May align at a proper point. Never despair, never doubt. There is no imaginary wonderland. Now look, we're just going to cover a couple things in this stanza and move on to the next one. But Will is interesting because, you know, it might relate to a famous chess player that goes by the first name of Wilhelm. And you may have discovered when you were working in round 1 of the War Games solution, you may have discovered the Knights of the Round Table revealed a horse, which I jokingly refer to it as my horse dragon. But it is essentially a horse. But it's no ordinary horse. This is actually, since it is related to the Knights of the Round Table, this is actually a knight in a chess game. You have all of your pieces of chess travel in straight lines. Even, you know, you can call the bishop a diagonal, but it's heading straight towards an appointment, essentially. It doesn't turn at all. The knight actually has a unique pattern, and it has an L pattern when you want to attack and move. Those of you familiar with chess, this is pretty simple. It's 3 over and 1 up, or 1 over and 3 up, whatnot. You're always making an L shape. So let's move on. As the turning square, well, you know what? We do have square in our word search. So let's just grab that just in case. And interestingly enough, arc is right in there as well. As a turning square or any arc, this is actually leading to something. An arc, maybe a point on this, might reference going around that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next stanza here. 4A, 4B. Here we go. And something interesting. If you take a look at this J that's sort of sitting out here all by itself, and if you were to go ahead and shift every letter in this entire board 12, net minus 12, you would end up with one X. And that X is the J. Let's go ahead and move that to minus 12. It says an X leads the way. You can take your own path, an X leads the way, or simply follow shimmering circles of gold. Well, the periodic table symbol for gold is AU. We happen to have a couple AUs right down here in this very area. And the circles of gold, now this one could be argued a little bit, but it does appear that you would be right next to it. So we're going to go with the Qs, with the exception of the little circumview or little line down at the bottom. I don't know what you call that. I'm going to go with that's our circle of gold. And we have a few of them here. And it's interesting, their placement. Very interesting. You'll notice that they're actually placed the same distance from each other as a chess move, as in the knight's chess move. So let's take a look at that. All right, so we have our first chess move. Now let's go ahead and X leads the way. So let's go ahead and start by making a move here. We're going to go ahead and make a chess move onto the continued, right to the E here. And we're going to go ahead and need to do another one. And we're going to go and make one more move. And here we are. Now we're at our Q. Well, we made it there. Let's go ahead and find the next one. Okay. And now we're down to our other Q. Let's go and do one more. I know. It's all just a coincidence. It's so crazy how this stuff works out. If you go ahead and shift QZP minus 12, you will get to the end. Let's read a little bit more here. There may be magic in the water, but the pike are all around. Now people instantly go, hey, that's fish, that's fish. Well, let's go ahead and give you a little definition of pike here. A pike shape in gymnastics and also swimming is when the body forms an L shape with the legs straight and together in front and the torso upright and bent forward. So much like our knight move, a pike is essentially an L. And it does say that the L's are all around. the pikes are all around. Yes, they are. And we're going to go and do one more movement here. And we're going to go from that end and we're going to go back to our original X. Okay? Let's go ahead and move on to our last part. Let's revert this back. It was joy. Let's go ahead and just clean the board back up and go back to our original board and our original letters. And we're going to go ahead and do one more L here. We're going to move one more move. Look at this. We're actually kind of moving around the board in sort of an arc pattern, kind of around like this. And we have a lot of pikes in here, don't we? So now we have our next move, and we moved right up here. And interesting enough, if you get warm, you may find shady oaks. Well, we got some oaks we can sit under right here. We got O-A-K-S. So we're just going to rest there for a moment, or when close. Well, we're getting close, so maybe we should move on just a little bit further. Let's do one more. So we're going to go ahead and continue on. And this will be the last step that I will show you. But basically, we continued on, and now we're at this location. I'll read the rest. When close, the haiku curls a little further on, where few have seen it. And if you don't go down, you may never know how high you'll ever want to be. I think I'll show you guys that in the future, but you'll probably be able to figure some of this out on your own. I believe this is clear and undeniable proof. Too many coincidences. I mean, how many do you want? I got 1, 2, 3. I got 16 or 20, and it all connects. Very creative, so yes. But you guys decide, okay? And actually, is this important or is it not important? Like he said. Now, the poem is important, as he mentioned, but anything that you find inside the little chapters that may relate to the lion's share are not really that important at the end of the day, is what he had said. So, and this is why Jam was just driving it home. Because I talked to Jam a few days before and I said, look, I'm going to come out with this stuff. He's like me. Like, don't give me your clues. I don't want to be the holder of clues. Like, if you want to talk about something and talk about concepts, we can do that. But if you're going to start sharing clues, he's going to be the same as me. Like, I'm going to share it with everybody else because I want everybody to be on equal playing field. So basically, we talked about this a couple days before the interview. So when he was driving this home, we both had an understanding that there's something more in here. And there was probably a reason why he took down the books, because they were broken up and they should have never been broken up, because Joy's Serenade ties in with the word search and they should never have been separated, but they were. So long story short, Jam was attacking this for a reason. And I wanted to make sure you guys knew that. Clearly there's a connection here. So what would be really interesting if somebody came up with something completely different on Joy's Serenade. I would love to see that. I mean, if you want to go public with it and you want to email me and want to make a video or something, I would love to see what you came up with that has this many connections. All right, well, let's go ahead and end there. I do appreciate your time. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Thanks.